So in this video, we will see how to simplify a context-free grammar. Okay, you have a set of protection rules, but sometimes we do not need all the protection rules and symbols, okay, to derive a string. So in order to remove all those, we go for simplification of context-free grammar. You can remove the useless symbols, okay, remove null productions and unit productions. First, we will see how to remove a useless symbol. Remove useless symbol. So what do you mean by useless symbol? Okay, it can be a non-generating symbol. Non-generating symbol is not generating any strings. It cannot be used to derive any terminal string. What do you mean by terminal? It can be A, B, or 0, 1, or any symbols. Okay, any symbol. Okay, these are all non-terminal. It can either be a non-generating symbol or non-reachable symbol. Non-reachable. So for example, you have S tends to AB, A tends to A, and B tends to B, and suddenly you have D tends to D. This is not used anywhere. So this is a non-reachable symbol, or you are not using it anywhere. So these are the two kinds of useless symbols that you might encounter. So we will see the first example. Okay, S tends to AB, A. Okay, A tends to A or B. B tends to B. C tends to small c, capital C, epsilon. D tends to A. So here the start symbol is S. Capitals are your non-terminals and small letters are your terminals. Okay, we can see that here capital C generates small c, but it is not reachable from, yes, you're not using this anywhere in this production. This whole C production you're not using anywhere. So this is a useless production. And D tends to A also. There is no D production anywhere here for you to substitute this production. So this is also a useless production. Same way C also. So there is no C production anywhere here for you to substitute. So this is also a useless production. So example 2. S tends to A, 0, C, 1. Okay, A tends to B, 0, 1, 1, 0. C tends to epsilon or CD. Now you have to find the useless and useful productions. Okay. First take S tends to A. Is this a useful or useless production? So substitute the value of A in this. Okay. So 101. So this is generating a non-terminal symbol. It is generating a string, right? The string consists of 0 and 1. Okay, so if it is generating a string, okay, if it is producing a terminal symbol, then that is a useful production. So this is a useful production. Now you take S tends to 0, C, 1. Substitute the value of C in this. 1 is epsilon, okay. Then other value of C is 0, CD, 1. So at least one of the values of C is giving you a non-terminal symbol. So these two are giving you a non-terminal symbol. Even though other protection is not giving you a non-terminal symbol, one of the values of C is giving you a non-terminal symbol when you substitute in the S protection. So these two are useful symbols, useful protections. So then you take A tends to B, 0, 1, 1, 0. So what is the value of B? Where is the protection of B? There is no protection of B. So this is a useless symbol. Whereas these two are useful because they already have non-terminal symbols in them. So C tends to epsilon is a useful symbol because epsilon is considered as a non-terminal symbol. Then you have C tends to CD. Where is the protection for D to substitute here? So this is also a useless protection. So these two are useful. This one is useful. These are useless protections. Okay. Then example 3. S tends to A11B, 11A. S tends to 11B, 11. A tends to 0, then B tends to BB. Okay, so first let's take S tends to A11B. Substitute the value of A first. A, there is 0, 11B. Okay, for B, you have BB. Okay, so then again you will substitute BB. So this will be generating forever. So this is a useless production, which is not giving you any non-terminal symbol. So this is a usual, sorry, not giving you a terminal symbol. This is a useless production. Then you take S tends to 11A. So that is 11. In place of A, you substitute 0. So this is a useful production, which is giving you a string. Okay, that is a terminal symbol. Okay, then you have S tends to 11B. Again, if I substitute B here, it will keep on generating B, and there is no end to it. So this is a useless production. Okay, then this is already a useful production. Again, this B is useless production. So this is useless, this is useful, this is useful, this is useless, and this is useless. Okay, I hope you understood how to remove the useless productions. Okay, next we will move on to null productions, removal of null productions. So what do you mean by null productions? All your epsilon production. For example, C tends to epsilon, A tends to epsilon. All these are your null productions. Okay. What do you do is find all the productions, okay, where you find where there is epsilon, and you substitute that epsilon wherever you find. For example, A tends to epsilon. Okay. You substitute this epsilon wherever you find A in the other productions. Okay, if we see an example, you will understand better. So first one is S tends to AB, AC, A tends to AA, epsilon, B tends to BB, epsilon, C tends to small c. Okay, there are two null productions in the given example. One is A tends to epsilon and then B tends to epsilon. So what do you do? Okay, so you just replace A with epsilon wherever there is A in the production. You have A here, A here. Okay, replace it with epsilon. First, you replace in S. So you can either write it as epsilon BAC or AB epsilon C, or both can be epsilon BC. So this is a new production. You add it to the original production of S. So what is the original production of S? ABC. So the new production of S is ABAC or BAC or ABC or BC. Okay, this is the new production. Now this is done. Where else do you find A? Here. Okay, so A tends to AA. Okay, so you only one way to substitute here because you have only one A. So A epsilon. You add this to the original production of A. Original production is AA. This epsilon we have removed. Okay, or A. Okay, this is the original production of A. Now we have removed the epsilon production of A. Now you have to remove epsilon production of B. So how do you remove that? You substitute the epsilon wherever you find B. You have B in S, right? Consider the new production of S, not the original production. Okay, consider the new production. So how would you substitute here? It first write the original production. Okay, because the substituted production, you're going to add it to the original production. So first copy all the original production. So here you can write it as AAC. Okay, remove the B, substitute epsilon in place of B. Here you can write as AC. This one you can write as AC again. Okay, BC. So these two productions are repeating. So you can write just once. Okay, now S is over. So where else do you find A? Sorry, B. There is B in B production itself. So B tends to BB is your original production. So if you substitute epsilon here, you will just have B. So this is your B production, and C tends to C is a useless production. You can remove it. Okay, so these are the final productions. This is your S final production, this is your A's final production, and this is your B's final production. So this is how you remove the null productions from the given context-free grammar. Now we will see about the unit production. How will you remove the unit production from the given grammar? So what do you mean by unit production? So if a non-terminal symbol tends to another non-terminal symbol, single non-terminal symbol, then that is called as a unit production. So we'll see how to remove a unit production. So first example is S tends to XY, X tends to A, Y tends to Z or B, Z tends to M tends to N, and N tends to A. This is your production given. So can you identify which are all the unit productions here? So this is a unit production, this is a unit production, this one is a unit production. Okay. Y tends to Z is a unit production, Z tends to M is a unit production, and M tends to N is another unit production. So how would you remove the unit production? Just substitute wherever you find a non-terminal. See, this production can be replaced with A because M tends to A, but whereas M tends to capital N, but whereas capital N tends to small a, right? So instead of M tends to N, we can write it as M tends to A, right? So the new production of M tends to N would be M tends to A. Same way, Z tends to M. Now M tends to A. So what you can substitute the value of M here. Same way here, you can substitute Y. So what would be the new productions? S tends to XY, X tends to A, Y tends to A or B, okay, Z tends to A, M tends to A, and N tends to A. So this is how you remove the unit production. So we'll see another example. Okay, A tends to B, B tends to 1 0 slash 1. So A tends to B is your unit production. Check other productions of B. B has 1 0, okay, and 1. So if you substitute this in the production, you will get A tends to 1 0 or 1, 1 0 or 1, and B will have 1 0 1. Okay, so example 3. X tends to A small a or B, B tends to capital A or B, and again A tends to A, B, C or B. So what are all the unit productions here? S tends to B, okay, B tends to A, and then you have A tends to B. First let's take F tends to B. Check for the B productions. So it's A or BB. So this is again unit production. So now check for A's production. A or BC or B. Then this is again a unit production. So check for B's production again. A, BC. Okay, instead of B, what can you write? You can write BB. Okay. So if I write A again, that will again be a unit production. So what is the new S is new productions? So it's AA or BB or A or BC. So we are just ignoring this B. You don't have to write because it's again introducing a unit production. Understood. So now you have the second unit production is B tends to A. Check for A's productions. A has A, B, C, and B. Okay. Ignore this one because it is again giving you a unit production. So in place of A, you substitute B tends to A or BC. Okay. The original production of B again you have as BB. Next one, next unit production you have is A tends to B. What are B's productions? A and BB. So ignore this one because it will again give you a unit production. Just substitute A tends to A, B, C. These two are already there in the production. Instead of B, I'm substituting BB. Okay, this is how you remove the unit production. And this is how you reduce the grammar. Remove the null production, unit production, and the useless symbols. Thank you.